was a Super Bowl night. Together. And I asked, since I was the junior, I asked, what do you want to talk about? And he said, well, I'll figure it out. You just talk about, each game. And you go through the season. Well, I think I'm taking one too many head balls because I don't remember much. But if there is one thing I do remember, is that this team's come together, and it's an incredible bond that it's hard to explain with words. Which is funny because we have a lot of words that when I was thinking about the season and how I was going to describe it, the parents and the alumni would have no idea what I was talking about. So we're going to do a little vocab session. Scrap is to work ridiculously hard at something. Or in Pops' case, somewhere in the box, run into the center back, steal the ball. Probably pop it over, run into the other center back, fall down, stand up, rub your right knee, probably run into the right back, and then toe poke the goal in for the game-winning goal. Something like this. Defend the Alamo. This may be a reference to the battle between Mexico and the Great Republic of Texas. Keep it up. Or for BMS soccer players, it means blocking shots, crosses, basically getting any body part you can on the ball, typically in the last 10 or 15 minutes of the game. If we play St. John's, usually the last 45. It's also rumored that when a St. John's player hears that we're going to be defending the Alamo that day, they just pack their bags and head back to the bus. I guess a serious one, Brown men's soccer player. It's a student athlete who participates on the Brown men's soccer team. He can run 3 miles in 18 minutes, is not afraid to get through his tackles, loves getting touches, can run 7.5 miles in the blinding cold while doing countless dumbbell squats, lunges, and glute ham raises. It's a person who honors and respects the history of the program, can put together a skit, cut hair, and typically becomes addicted to a television series sometime in the preseason. It's also synonymous with leader, team player, and hard worker. The Injured Army. It's a group of 11 or 12 guys, typically consisting largely of upperclassmen who are either injured, or didn't fill out his compliance paperwork. Every single person on the team used his very iPad to fill out theirs. The winter is coming. It's the title of the first episode of HBO's medieval fantasy television series Game of Thrones. It's a painfully slow developing show and so hard to follow that I think Lou, Taylor Gorman's the only person that actually knows what's going on. And it's because he's read the books. For BMS, it's in reference to the quickly approaching NCAA season, and it became the catchphrase of the team this year. Take it to the streets. This phrase is of unknown origins. And all I really know is Austin incessantly repeated it as he tried to make it the catchphrase this year. Sam Groves. It's a new coach here who by night goes by Mac Miller. Hip-hop artist who sings popular songs such as Donald Trump and Best Day Ever. But by day, he's obsessed with jogging 2 laps around the field for warm-up and is reliving his glory days at Hartford 1 banger at a time. Banger, or bang job. It's an extremely well-hit and impressively powerful shot, or volley, that typically ends up in the upper 90, often hit by Sam Groves. It's also the small post-game get-togethers behind Rack City. Rack City. It's a popular hip-hop song. It's probably the most repetitive and worst lyrics I've ever heard. Regretfully, it became the Brown men's soccer post-game celebratory song. It's also the name of where the Banditos live. Its first known use was in 1591. Typically means an outlaw of Mexican origin. It's also the nickname of the junior class who inexplicably dominate the one-touch game before every game. Anytime they're allowed to play together. One-touch game. It's probably the part of practice I look forward to the most, and all the goalies look forward to the least, because they're getting shots fired at them from about 5 yards away. No defense has ever played. It's a scrimmage, typically of extremely poor quality, and is filled with Pepe always chasing the ball because he kicked it over the crossbar. Big Ben. He's a freshman on the team, about 6'8", 350. Likes to show up in random moments in the crucial moments of the season and then disappear the next day. Bowling night became a Wednesday tradition for the entire team, as we cannot go to, I guess, the famous favorite downtown spot. So it usually consisted of mixing teams, bowling the ball, watching Austin completely dominate everybody, and just having a good time. It was really a bonding experience. Fantasy football. The Banditos played in the Fantasy Football League this year with Jack and Wiener, and Matt Colt decided to play with us, as well as Taylor Gorman and Pops. It can be described as, well, I'll use a sentence for this one. Wow, Colby, you lost in fantasy football again? So hopefully that gives you a little insight when I describe this season. You know, like I said, it's a group of incredibly close guys, and I don't think anybody really thought that we could do what we did after last year. You know, we had a lot of new faces, lost a lot of guys, both captains. And so I'll briefly go through the season, I guess, from my shoddy memory. We'll see how it goes. So game one against Providence was a coming out party for Alex Marks, who proved he could compete immediately at the Division I level. We stumbled out of the gates, though. I think we were looking forward to the NCAA bid, first round bye, Ivy League championship, you know, everything. We already had the rings on our fingers, and it was a humbling defeat that I think put us into a daze. And soon enough, we're sitting in a locker room, up 1-0 against Bryant, before Pop scored his first 6-yard toe poke of the year, and Tommy Mack did some crazy dangling moves and scored without celebrating. So after winning Brown Classic, we traveled to Bobby's homeland. More importantly, I got my first sweet tea of the year, and I survived another day. We were in South Carolina at this point. Pops racked up 2 more goals against South Carolina, and we were seemingly hitting on all cylinders. And we're not going to talk about Kentucky. So against BU, Sam Kernisloss, a.k.a. SKS, a.k.a. Sam Corn and Squash, officially took over as starting keeper. Rosa scored his 3rd goal of the year off a pass from Legend, but I think most people will choose to remember this is the game that Alex Marks' crazy gelatinous arms came out. I would ask you to do a reenactment, but I think we're going to see it on the highlight video. Needless to say, a 2-0 win against BU was a good result, and we thought we were back on track. And then we played Boston College. And soon enough, September was over and we had lost again. With the tournament and non-conference part of the schedule basically over, we were ready to go on to the Ivy League. From the start, we had said we were going to win the Ivy League championship. That was a goal for, I guess, all the underclassmen. We wanted to help our seniors get the ring that they deserved, and it was something that I think the seniors really put their minds forth and showed at the end of the year. So game 1 was against Columbia, a great warm-up game. I don't think we had lost to them since Coach Biggs didn't frighteningly glare during the team photo. Well, sure enough, we lost, and Coach Biggs took a wonderful Thanksgiving Day photo that year. So we lost 3 out of 4, and we're going to St. John's next. Probably one of the toughest teams to play against because you're playing on top of a parking garage. We were without our left back, left mid, left winger Dylan Remick, as well as our captain Lou. And I think this was probably the defining moment of our year. Coach talked about we needed to find our Brown identity. We kind of lost track of who we really were. We were passing the ball. But really we weren't getting into our tackles. We didn't have that Brown soccer mindset that we've all come to know and that the history has shown us is what we need to play with. And so sure enough though, that game without 2 of our best players and one of the toughest places to play, we really put it together. And though it was a 0-0 tie and we were all frustrated that we didn't win, it was a moment when I was sitting in the locker room, I thought, you know, we were back and that we could do it. So, after defending the Alamo and our first Big Ben sighting of the year, we had found our Scrap City identity. So wins against Princeton, in which Pop somehow scored 2 header goals. TT took probably the best foul of the year. We were on to Harvard, where Legend did his best impression of a Pops and toe poked the ball into the net from like 18 yards out. So we were on to play Cornell for, I guess, the Ivy League title, first place in the Ivy League. We were feeling good about our trip to Ithaca, and we stopped at the T. Joe Popolizio Memorial Soccer Day Park. We had a little training session, got fed extremely well by the Popolizios. We were playing a giant that game. He was about 6'5", gave Ben a real run for his money. They scored first early in the second half, and we had our second Big Ben sighting of the year, as he scored the game-tying goal, and we went home 1-1 with a 1-1 tie. On the bus ride home, we hosted our annual karaoke night. Is that right? Coach Jason definitely took home the title for that performance. After a snowy 1-0 battle with Penn that I'm sure every player and fan wants to forget about due to the crazy cold and conditions, I'm sure again we'll see some video, we found ourselves playing for the Ivy League Championship at home against Dartmouth. After a slow start to the game and a 0-0 tie, we sweated out together and waited to hear about the Cornell-Columbia game. And when we heard they tied, it was probably the happiest, weirdest moment I'd ever had. We were officially named Ivy League champions. So the winner is finally here as we drew Fairfield at home for round 1. And I just want you to know, that was my game plan from the start. We really lacked in fans all year. I was like, we need some excitement. So Coach reluctantly agreed, and he let us give up 2 crazy goals within 30 seconds of each other. Somehow, after completely dominating the first half. And with 15 minutes to go, Rosa and Randy scrapped out and came up with 2 of the biggest goals of the season. There wasn't a doubt in anyone's mind at that point that we were going to win that game. It was just a matter of time. And so that week, we put in this corner play where we put 3 guys at the top of the box. And in my head, I was like, oh my God, we're just going to get countered off of this really badly. Sure enough, and Aiden Leonard steps up in probably the biggest moment of the year and just hits a banger, basically, for the winning goal. And couldn't have been happier. It was definitely a moment where Rack City was bumping from the speakers. And we were headed back to the, play St. John's. I think, like Lou said, St. John's was probably afraid to play us. We hadn't lost to them in 3 years. We were coming back with 2 starters that had been missing. And, they had a well-deserved reputation, but I think from the start we knew we were going to get it. And so, sure enough, Dylan stole the ball, went on a couple give and goes, hit the classic shot/cross that hits off the center back shin. And then we proceeded to defend the Alamo for the rest of the half and walked off the field knowing we were going back to the Sweet 16. Obviously the season didn't end like we wanted, but I think that's true for all 202 other teams that don't win the national championship. You give me a 1-goal lead at home with the team we have here, and I'd say bet every penny on that we're going to win that game. But when we look back, I think we're all going to be very proud of the accomplishments we had this year. Through all the adversity, from the injured Army throughout preseason, season-long injuries to Tommy Mack and B-Biz, new faces on the field and in the locker room, on the coaching staff, one coach promoting his double platinum DVDs and constantly being on nationwide tours. The team stuck together. And through all of that, I don't think anyone in the country can really be as proud as we are. So yeah, it still hurts, but an Ivy League ring and a Sweet 16 appearance is nothing to be ashamed of. So as I wrap it up on this crazy rant that really had no flow to it, I want to say thank you to our seniors. Evan, Jay, Pops, Randy, Rosa, Mike, and Rob, you guys really epitomize what it means to be a Brown men's soccer player. I think from the moment we stepped on campus, you guys have definitely not been afraid to tell us what we've done wrong. But I think you've really set up the Brown men's soccer program to succeed in the future. A lot of that probably comes from the freshman year in which you ran like Blackstone 20 times. Jenks, it was down. It was uphill both ways back home from school and class. It was horrible. But you really, I think, epitomized what it means to be a Brown men's soccer player, and you taught us exactly what we need to do here to achieve the goals that we all have. So I think you should be very proud of the legacy you have here, and we really appreciate everything you do. I think I can speak for everyone on the team right now that you guys have been extremely good role models and have really contributed immensely to this Brown men's soccer program in a transition time that could have gone the wrong way after your sophomore year. You guys kept this ship straight and really set us up well for years to come. So thank you.